Hi everyone, welcome to Study Buddy Homeschooling. In today's session, we'll be seeing CBSE Class 10 English, Madam Rides the Bus by Vallikannan. So it's very important to remember the author's name with the correct spelling. The author is Vallikannan, who has written the story Madam Rides the Bus. So let's move on. Before you read, in this sensitive story, sensitive means a very careful or very thoughtful story. An 8-year-old girl's first bus journey into the world outside her village is also her induction into mystery of life and death. So it's a story about an 8-year-old girl and her first bus journey into the world outside her village. And is also her induction. Induction refers to introduction. So, introduction into mystery. Mystery is something like a surprise, some secret of life and death. She sees the gap between our knowing that there is death and our understanding of it. So this 8-year-old girl sees the gap about our understanding of life and death. So let's move into the story. There was a girl named Valliammai who was called Valli for short. So the 8-year girl's name is Valli. She was 8 years old and very curious about things. Curious refers to something, she's always wanting to find new things, willing to learn new things. Her favorite pastime was standing in the front doorway of her house. Favorite thing means thing that she likes the most. Pastime. Unlike kids of her age who wants to play, her favorite pastime, like what she does during the free time, was to stand in front of the door of her house, watching what was happening in the street outside. So she's always, whenever she has free time, she stands outside her main door and watches the people in the street. There were no playmates of her own age on her street. And this was about all she had to do. She had no friends of her age, nobody of her age who could play in that street. So this was what she has learned to do. This is what she is used to do. Whenever she is free, whenever she has time, she'll just stand out in the gateway like this, in the entrance like this, and she will be watching people for hours. But for Valli, standing at the front door was every bit as enjoyable as any of the elaborate games other children played. Elaborate means very detailed. So for her, standing outside in the front door and watching people was as enjoyable, as fun as she plays the games with the kids. So it was equal fun for her. Watching outside was equal fun for her, just like playing with the kids. Watching the street gave her many new, unusual experiences. So every day, whenever she has a free time, she used to just stand outside and watch people. And every day she learned different things. It was like she was seeing different set of people and trying to learn new things from them, because as such, she was a very curious 8-year-old girl. The most fascinating thing of all was a bus that traveled between her village and the nearest town. So she was more interested about a bus that traveled between her village and the nearest town. So she used to watch the bus. Of all the things that she watched outside, she was more interested in the bus that travels from her village to the nearest town. It passed through her street each hour. So it used to pass through her street every hour. It used to go. Once going to the town and once coming back. So we'll go once, again it comes back. So she used to watch this every time. The sight of the bus filled each time with a new set of passengers was a source of unending joy for Valli. So she'll be always watching the bus, the people in the bus. She's noticing that every time there's a new set of people getting into the bus, and again going to town, and again when the bus returns from town, again new set of people are there in the bus. So watching them board and get down from the bus was unending joy. It was too much of, it brought her too much of happiness for Valli. She was very happy to see different people in the bus at different times. Day after day, she watched the bus, and gradually a tiny wish crept into her head and grew there. So she used to watch this bus every day, right? Every hour, in fact. So a tiny wish, a small desire crept into her head and grew there. What was a desire? Something she wanted to do. It's like she wished to do that. A tiny desire got into her head and it kept on growing. She wanted to ride on that bus even if just once. So, what was her wish? She wants to ride in that bus. Even if it means just once, it's okay for her, but she wants to ride in that bus. This wish became stronger and stronger until it was an overwhelming desire. So this wish, small wish, tiny wish that she had in her mind started growing, and there came to a point it was like beyond her control. It was like the urge in her was, she has to go. The urge became so much that by hook or crook she wanted to get into the bus. Valli would stare wistfully at the people who got on or off the bus when it stopped at the street corner. So Valli would stare. Stare means look. Stare means look. Wistfully means longingly. So she was just longing to be there in the bus. Valli would stare wistfully at the people who got off or on the bus when it stopped at the street corner. She used to look at the people with such longing. Their faces would kindle in her longings, dreams, and hopes. Their faces, as soon as she sees people getting down or boarding the bus, that would be like again kindling. Kindling means again giving hope to her dreams that she can go into the bus. She wants to go into the bus. If one of her friends happened to ride the bus and tried to describe the sights of the town to her, Valli would be too jealous to listen and would shout in English, "Proud, proud." If anybody from her friends from in the school or in the neighborhood, if they happen to describe how they went in the bus and how they saw the town, she, she would be so jealous. Jealous means, you're really not happy, and it has hurt you that you are not able to go. That's a jealousy feeling that she went and she was not able to go. So Valli would be too jealous to listen and would shout in English, "Proud, proud." Just to distract the crowd, just to distract the friends, she would say, "Proud, proud." Neither she nor her friends really understood the meaning of the word. Neither Valli knew what proud was, nor her friends understood what proud was. But whenever her friends used to boast of that, they went to the city, when they saw the town and different shops, she would say "proud, proud" just to change the topic. And that's the way she showed her jealousy. Neither she nor her friends really understood the meaning of the word, but they used it often as a slang expression of disapproval. So since she was jealous, she used to use that word as a disapproval. Disapproval means you're not agreeing with it, or you want to change the topic, you're not happy with it. Slang expression, here its meaning in informal words often used within a close group. It's something that's used very casually. Over many days and months, Valli listened carefully to conversations between her neighbors and people who regularly used the bus. And she also asked a few discreet questions here and there. Discreet means very careful questions. So that wish has come into her mind, that it was an overwhelming wish that she has to go and get into the bus. But what she did some planning. Over days and months, she's been listening to people who went by bus and listening to their conversation, how they went to the bus, and she carefully asked a few questions to get to know the information about the bus and how it travels. So this way, she picked up various small details about the bus journey. So, talking to them, talking to different people who went by bus, she carefully gathered information about the bus journey. So, what was the information? The town was 6 miles from her village. So, the town was 6 miles from her village. This is the information she got from the villagers by talking to them for months. The fare was 30 paise one way. So the bus fare was 30 paise one way, which is almost nothing at all. She heard one well-dressed man say. She heard a well-dressed man say one day that, one way from the village to town, which is 6 miles, is just 30 paise, which is almost nothing at all. It's like really dead cheap. She heard one well-dressed man say. But to Valli, who scarcely means who has rarely saw that much money from one month to the next, it seemed a fortune. So for Valli, for the well-dressed man, it was like nothing. But for Valli, who has rarely seen that much amount, it was a big amount for her. But still, she wanted to go in the bus. The trip to the town took 45 minutes. So, from her village to the town, which is 6 miles, it took 45 minutes. So, all this information she has gathered by talking carefully to the villagers and asking them careful questions, the discreet questions. On reaching town, if she stayed in her seat and paid another 30 paise, she could return home on the same bus. So she has got this information also. What is the information? You're taking the bus from village to town by paying 30 paise. On reaching the village, if she stayed in her seat, she doesn't have to come out, and paid another 30 paise, you can return back to the village. So this was a very good piece of information for her, so that she doesn't have to be scared. All she has to do is take the bus, pay 30 paise, will go to town, again stay there in the bus, pay again another 30 paise, and she will be back. This meant that she could take the 1 o'clock afternoon bus, reach the town at 1:45 and be back home by about 2:45. So there's a 15-minute break at the town, after which she can come back. On and on went her thoughts as she calculated and recalculated, planned and replanned. So now she has got this much information that the bus fare is 30 paise and the distance to town is 45 minutes. So, and all she has to do is just sit in the bus after reaching the town and pay another 30 paise and you could be back. So all this information has been processing in her mind and she's making a plan out. Let's move to the comprehension. What was Valli's favorite pastime? Valli's favorite pastime was to stand outside the front entrance door of her house and watch the street, especially the bus which goes past her house every once in an hour, and she used to watch people boarding in and boarding out from the bus. That was her favorite pastime which brought her lots of happiness. What was a source of unending joy for Valli? What was her strongest desire? What was the source of unending joy for her? For her, watching people getting down from the bus and boarding the bus is such a joy for her, because every day, every time the people are changing. While boarding the bus, there are different set of people. Again, when bus comes from the town, when they get down, again different set of people. So watching those people in the bus was such a joy for her. What was her strongest desire? Her strongest desire was to make a trip in the bus at least once. Third question. What did Valli find out about the bus journey? How did she find out about these details? So, what did Valli find out of the bus journey? She has found out that the distance between her village to town is about 6 miles, and the bus fare is about 30 paise and it takes 45 minutes for her to reach the town. And if she stays in the bus itself and in the town, when she pays another 30 paise, she can get back to the village in another 45 minutes. How did she find out these details? She found out these details for days and months by getting to know the information from the villagers who went in the bus, who had the bus ride to the town. What do you think Valli was planning to do? She was definitely planning to save some money, 30 paise plus 30 paise, which is 60 paise, so that she can make a trip to the town and come back with the information that she has collected from the villages. Now let's move to the next part, second part of the comprehension. Well, one fine spring day, the afternoon bus was just on the point of leaving the village and turning into the main highway when a small voice was heard shouting, "Stop the bus! Stop the bus!" and a tiny hand was raised commandingly. So it was an afternoon time, spring time, when the afternoon bus was just about to leave the village and turn to the main highway when there was a small voice which heard, "Stop the bus, stop the bus," and a tiny small hand, probably it was a child, raised commandingly with huge respect, with huge noise. The bus slowed down to a crawl. So bus started crawling. It just slowed down to just crawl. The conductor, sticking his head out of the door, said, "Hurry then. Tell whoever it is to come quickly." Conductor says to the girl, "Hurry up, hurry up. Who else is coming with you? Ask him to come quickly." "It's me," shouted Valli. "I am the one who has to get on." So Valli says, "It's nobody else is there. It's only me. I have to get onto the bus." By now, the bus had come to a stop and the conductor said, "Oh, really? You don't say so." Now the bus has stopped and she says, she's the only one who has to get in. So he says, "Oh, really?" He couldn't believe that a small girl is getting into the bus. "Yes, I simply have to go to town," said Valli, still standing outside the bus. "And here's my money." She showed him some coins. You can see how confidently Valli is saying this, that she has to go to the town and she has the money to go to town. Okay, but you must get on the bus," said the conductor, and he stretched out a hand to hold her up. So she's showing the money even before she getting into the bus. Now he says, okay, I got it. First for that you have to get into the bus. So what he did was he held out his hand to help her to board the bus. "Never mind." See the confidence the Valli has. "Never mind," she said. "I can get on by myself. You don't have to help me." She seems to be such a brave girl that, she says, "I don't need your help." She's just 8-year-old, but she says this to the conductor that, "I don't need your help. I can get on myself." The conductor was a jolly sort. He was a jolly person, fond of joking. So he's always making fun of others. So he took it in a very positive sense. "Oh, please don't be angry with me, my fine madam." He says, "Please don't be angry, madam." He is a very joking and fun-loving person. He said, "Here, have a seat right up there in front." He says, "Go and sit in the front." "Everyone move aside, please. Make way for madam." So he's saying in a funny tone. It's like, she's just an 8-year-old girl and the conductor was very funny. He says to other passengers, everybody please move. Madam has to go and sit in the front." It was a slack time of the day. Slack time is a time of the day when there is not too much of work. It's afternoon, right? Only in the morning and evening, passengers, when they go to work and they return from work, the bus will be crowded. Afternoon time, not much of crowd, and there were only 6 or 7 passengers in the bus. So there were just 6 or 7 passengers. It was a slack time. They were all looking at Valli and laughing with the conductor. So they were all looking at Valli because conductor said, "Please make way for madam. Madam has to go and sit in the front." In a joking way, everybody was laughing. Valli was overcome with shyness. She became really shy because everybody started looking and making fun. Avoiding everyone's eyes, she walked quickly to an empty seat and sat down. But still, she walked to the front of the bus and she sat down. Look at her confidence. May we start now, madam? The conductor asked, smiling. So now conductor seems to be a jolly person. He says, can we start the bus now? Then he blew his whistle twice and the bus moved forward with a roar. So the bus started going from the village. It was a new bus. Its outside painted a gleaming white with some green stripes. So it was a bright white bus with some green stripes on it along the sides. Inside, the overhead bars shone like silver. So there were silver bars inside for the people to hold, something like this. Here you can see something like this, silver bars which were shining for the passengers to hold while standing. Directly in front of Valli, above the windshield, there was a beautiful clock. So there was a beautiful clock just in front of her. The seats were soft and luxurious. Soft means they're really nice and comfortable. Luxurious is like it's more than comfortable. It has a rich look. Valli devoured everything with her eyes. She was just absorbing everything with her eyes. It was too much of a sight for her. But when she started to look outside, she found her view cut off by a canvas blind that covered the lower part of her window. She wanted to look from outside, but there was a canvas blind. Blind refers to something like a curtain that covered the part of the window. You can see in the picture here something like this, which covers the window. That's called the blind. It was made of canvas. She stood up on the seat and peered over the blind. She was too curious to see what's happening outside. She knew that blind, that refers to the curtain, was blocking the windows. So she just got up and started seeing above the blind so that she can get the outside view. The bus was now going along the bank of a canal. The road was very narrow. On one side there was a canal and beyond it palm trees, grassland, distant mountains and the blue sky. So the bus started going now from the village along the bank of canal. There was a small waterway. Canal refers to a waterway and the road was also very narrow. On the side of canal, next to the canal, there were palm trees, grassland, distant mountains and sky. It was such a beautiful sight. On the other side was a deep ditch. There was a big hole and then acres and acres of green fields. Green as far as the eye could see. So it was a beautiful sight for her. One side was a canal and next to the canal there were lots of palm trees, grassland, mountains and beautiful sky. And the other side of the bus there were a deep ditch. There was a big hole and after the ditch there were lots and lots green acres of green fields. Probably they are doing something in agriculture. Oh, it was all so wonderful. Suddenly, she was startled by a voice. Startled means really surprised. Somebody who said something with a voice. Listen, child, said the voice. You shouldn't stand like that. Sit down. Since she was standing in the bus, there was a voice which came and said, oh no, oh please girl, you cannot stand. Please sit down. Sitting down, she looked to see who had spoken. It was an elderly man who had honestly been concerned for her, but she was annoyed by his attention. So, who said those words? Sit down, girl. It was said by an elderly woman. It was a man. An elderly man who was watching her standing on the seat. He was really concerned about her because the bus was already going in a narrow path. If the driver applies brake, she could fall. So with concern, the elder man said, please sit down. But she was annoyed. Annoyed means irritated. She couldn't believe that somebody else could say her to sit. There's nobody here who is a child, she said haughtily. It's like she couldn't accept that somebody said. She said, there's nobody who is a child here. I've paid my 30 paise like everyone else. I've also paid my 30 paise. I'm not a child. You have also paid 30 paise. I've also paid 30 paise, she said. Haughtily means very proudly. There's nobody who is child here. The conductor chimed in. Now the conductor pitched in. Oh, sir, but this is a very grown up madam, he says to the elder person. Oh, she is a very grown up madam. Do you think a mere girl could pay her own fare and travel to the city all alone? He says jokingly, the conductor. You know, she's a big madam. She's a grown up madam because only they can uh, pay their own fare and travel to the city and all alone. She's definitely not a child. She's a grown up madam. That's why she's traveling alone to the town, he says. Valli shot an angry glance at the conductor and said, now again, Valli was angry with what conductor said. I am not a madam. Please remember that. And you have not yet given me my ticket. Now she's really angry and she says, I'm not madam. Don't call me madam. Remember that. And you have not even given my ticket. I paid 30%. You have not given my ticket. I'll remember, the conductor said, mimicking her tone. He just mimics her tone and says, no, I'll remember. Everyone laughed and gradually Valli too joined in the laughter. So everybody started laughing. The conductor punched a ticket and handed it to her. So he gave her a ticket by punching it. Just sit back and make yourself comfortable. Why should you stand when you have paid for a seat? Now the conductor said, just sit and make yourself comfortable because you've already paid for the seat now. Then why do you want to stand? Because I want to, she answered, standing up again. But she doesn't listen to conductor or anybody. She says, I want to. And she stood up on the chair, on the seat. But if you stand on the seat, you may fall and hurt yourself when the bus makes a sharp turn or hits a bump. That's why we want you to sit down, child. Okay. So now again the conductor is saying, see, if you stand on the seat, if the conductor, if the driver makes a brake or if it hits a speed bump or there's a sharp turn, you will fall. Again, he said, please sit, child, because it might hurt you if you fall. I'm not a child, I tell you, she said irritably. I'm 8 years old. Again, she's saying, I'm not a child, I'm 8 years old. Please don't tell me a child. Of course, how stupid of me. 8 years, the conductor says. The bus stopped. Some new passengers got in and the conductor got busy for a time. So again, conductor got busy because new passengers got in and he has to issue tickets to them. Afraid of losing her seat, Valli finally sat down. So she finally sat down on the seat. An elderly woman came and sat beside her. Are you all alone, dear? She asked Valli as the bus started again. So the bus stopped and many new people got in and the conductor was busy giving tickets to them, and she didn't want to lose her seat because many people were coming in, so she sat on the seat, and next to her an old woman sat on her and she asked, are you all alone? Are you going alone? She said. Valli found the woman absolutely repulsive. She really didn't like that old woman at all. Repulsive. Such big holes she had in her earlobes and such ugly earrings in them. So she didn't really like the old woman who was seated next to her because she had really big earlobes, which is very and she had lots of gold earrings, which Valli found very ugly. This is very common in southern part of Tamil Nadu, where older women have bigger earlobes and have lots of gold hanging through the earlobes. She didn't really like the sight. And she could smell the betel nut the woman was chewing and see the betel juice that was threatening to spill over her lips at any time, at any moment. So that old lady, she had big earlobes and gold rings, huge gold rings were just popping out, and again she was chewing betel nut and the water was just trying to come out. She really didn't like the sight of the woman. Who could be sociable with such a person? She's just thinking like that. Yes, I'm traveling alone, she answered curtly. Curtly refers to, without much of disinterest, with some disinterest she answered. And I've got a ticket too. She says, proudly that she's got a ticket too. Yes, she's on her way to town, said the conductor with a 30 paisa ticket. Now the conductor again pitches in and he says to the old lady, yes, she's going on to the town and she's got a 30 paisa ticket also. Oh, why don't you mind your own business, said Wali. But she laughed all the time and the conductor laughed too. So she said to the conductor boldly, please mind your own business, and started laughing. And even conductor started laughing because he was a very jovial person. But the old woman went on with her drivel. Drivel means her whatever she wanted to speak, her silly nonsense tales. She started telling. Is it proper for such a young person to travel alone? She started again, the old lady. Oh, how is it okay for a young person to travel alone? Do you know exactly where you are going in town? What's the street? What's the house number? The old lady started, she couldn't believe that 8-year-old is traveling by bus, and she's like, oh, where will you stop in the town? Which address you will go? Do you know anybody's house there? You needn't bother about me. I can take care of myself, Valli said, turning her face toward the window and staring out. And she says to the old woman, please don't bother about me. I will take care of myself. And she started looking towards the window and she started looking out. Staring out means looking out. Let's move to the oral comprehension check. Why does the conductor call Valli madam? He calls Valli madam because Valli, from the beginning, from the time she got into the bus, she was always maintaining that she was a grown-up girl. She was not an 8-year-old. She was not a child, and she can do things for herself, and she can buy a ticket for herself. She was able to do that, and hence she always didn't think herself of child, and showed the same to the conductor also. That's why the conductor started calling her madam. Why does Valli stand up on the seat? What does she see now? So Valli stood up on the seat because there was a canvas blind, that is like something like a curtain, which was covering the window. So that canvas blind was blocking her view. So she stood up on the seat to see the outside view. What does she see now? So she saw two things. Okay, for the left of her there was a canal, water canal, and next to the water canal there were lots of coconut trees, palm trees, greenery around. To the right there was a big ditch or a big hole, and after the ditch there were lots of acres of greenery. So there were lots of greenery all around. What does Valli tell the elderly man when he calls her a child? Valli says, to the elder man that she is not a child, and she has brought the ticket by herself, and she has paid for the ticket too, and just like anybody else. And she says, she is definitely not a child. Why did Valli want to make friends with the elderly woman? She really didn't like the elderly woman who came and sat next to her, because the elderly woman was looking a bit gross, in the sense she was having a big earlobe with very unattractive rings popping out of her ears, and she was chewing betel nut and leaves, and the water from the betel nut chewing was just popping out, and she felt she was not very hygienic. She was not clean, and she was also poking into her thing, like how can a small girl like Valli travel all alone to the town? Where will she go into the town? Does she know the street name and address? All these questions didn't go well with Valli, and she really didn't like the elder woman because she was too pokey. We have covered part 1 and part 2 of the story here, and we'll cover the part 3 and part 4 in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please leave your comments in the comment section. Please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.